There's connections between sun worship and Lucifer, who is actually the light bearer and the morning sun. And so things really started taking place when Pythagoras created the heliocentric sun worship model. But the thing is, it didn't really take off as a popular belief system until about 500 years ago when Copernicus took up Pythagoras' work and takes credit for launching the actual heliocentric model to the world. And so about 500 years ago is when flat earth was pretty common knowledge. We all remember stories about Christopher Columbus thinking he was going to fall off the edge of the flat earth. That was all around 1492. And so that's pretty much around the same time that Copernicus was updating the Pythagoras heliocentric solar system model. He basically discovered that you're not going to fall off the edge of the earth if you go in a big circle. You see, the thing with that whole falling off the edge of the earth thing, that's not exactly how it works. Circumnavigation of the earth has only been done east to west, never south to north. And so with the center of the flat earth being the magnetic north pole, to travel east is not a straight line. You end up going in one big circle. And so east and west is never a straight line. It actually involves correcting your course, as demonstrated in the video courtesy of the DITRH YouTube channel. And so after Copernicus died, his books became public because it was pretty much blasphemy to think that the earth was heliocentric around that time. He was scared of the ridicule and the possible punishments that would have been involved with publishing a book about the earth revolving around the sun. And so his instructions was to release his findings after his death, and that's what happened. And so after Copernicus died, which is said to be May 14th, 1543, is when his heliocentric findings became public and the world began to transform. And so this launched a new wave of scientism where the science community was becoming more of a force to be reckoned with versus the church. And so there was a little resistance at first, but over the years and over the generations, the heliocentric globe earth model began to take root. And so the 1600s was much more accepting of the solar system model, and then the 1700s was pretty much all in, and then the 1800s, everybody was pretty much forgetting that anybody ever thought the earth was flat. And then around the 1900s, the flat earth was all but forgotten until around 1950. And that's when Admiral Byrd was sent on missions to actually look into this flat earth model, because the elite actually still knew about it. It was just the general public that had completely forgot about it. And so Admiral Byrd was sent on missions in Antarctica for almost about a decade. He was down in Antarctica looking for stuff. There was missions in Antarctica like Operation Deep Freeze and Project High Jump. And that's around the time that Admiral Byrd finally discovered a barrier in Antarctica. You see, there's reports that Admiral Byrd was losing planes in Antarctica due to an invisible shield that they were blaming on force field technology of the Nazis. But there was no force field technology. This invisible barrier was the dome firmament structure. Now, many people say there's other lands in Antarctica, and well, that could be. There could be an area where there's other land, and actually these extra lands is one of the reasons why some flat earthers say that they're hiding the flat earth, is because they feel there's extra lands beyond Antarctica that they are hiding. And so that would be kind of a good reason to hide the flat earth, is if there's other continents that nobody knows of that they don't want you to find out about. But we will be covering that in another video, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you click your notification bell so you don't miss it, and I will dig into that topic in the near future. And so these planes that Admiral Byrd was losing was due to the dome firmament structure that keeps us separated from what is outside the dome firmament. And so after one of Admiral Byrd's final missions down in Antarctica is when they wrapped up the whole Antarctic exploration team missions, and they put a big no trespassing sign on Antarctica that all of the nations agreed to. It's called the Antarctic Treaty, and this was established only 5 months after NASA was established. And so after Admiral Byrd's final mission in Antarctica, you got NASA that pops up and the Antarctic Treaty that pops up right around the same time. NASA was formed in order to control the skies and make sure that nobody gets high enough to realize that there is no outer space. And the Antarctic Treaty was created in order to keep people away from the edge so that nosy people can't go down there and start poking their heads around and finding what Admiral Byrd found, which is the dome firmament structure, or how some of you might call the edge of the Earth. And so nobody can fall off the edge, as a lot of globe earthers like to say. It's all enclosed within this barrier. And so how can all of these countries agree to never go to Antarctica again with this international Antarctic treaty, and yet there seems to be so many issues that we can't get along on? Besides that, this is evidence of a underhanded system where maybe this society is not exactly as divided as we might think. For the entire world to get along on this Antarctic treaty takes cooperation, and it also seems to suggest a partnership with all of the countries. Everybody agreeing that we will never break this one rule to never go down to Antarctica. And so that should also explain why all of the space agencies are also connected as well. You see, that whole space race was just propaganda, with the US and the Russians racing to be the first ones to land on the moon. Well, in July 20th of 1969, when the Americans were the first ones to land on the moon, why hasn't anybody else ever been to the moon since then? You see, with all of these space agencies around the world, especially the Russians, why would they just give up just because America made it there first? If there's a race going on and the winner crosses the finish line, do all of the runners just give up? Do they just walk away and hit the showers and take off and go home? No, they actually cross that finish line as well, even though they weren't the first ones. So why wouldn't any other country ever go to the moon is the question you must ask yourself. It's because there was no moon landing. Now, I will be going deep into the moon landing in another video, so click the notification bell for that because I don't have time to cover that right now. But the moon landing never happened. The reason why they had to go to the moon is to provide a picture of the Earth as soon as possible so that they can keep control over the discovery that Admiral Byrd made about this flat Earth dome enclosed structure that we are living in. And so NASA took off and said, hey, look, we made it to the moon already. Nothing to see here. Here's a picture of the Earth. You see it's a globe, and everybody just back off now and go away. One thing we must remember is that with all of the nations cooperating in hiding the flat Earth, it doesn't take everybody in on it to hide it. So let's look at NASA, for example. It wouldn't take all of the workers of NASA in order to hide flat Earth. It would only take a few departments to hide the flat Earth because NASA works as a chain of command, and it's kind of like a pyramid structure where only the ones at the top need to know, the ones that are given the orders. It's kind of like how a corporation is run with a small group of board members who vote on everything that happens in the company. So with NASA, there's a small group at the top, and these board members would be the ones that would know what's going on in NASA and how they're really hiding the flat Earth from the public. The rest of the members on the way down to the very bottom are just workers. They just report to work and do what they're told. They're given orders. They actually say NASA is a branch of the military, so everything would be on a need-to-know basis. And just like most people, the rest of the NASA members have been indoctrinated into the whole heliocentric solar system globe model, so they wouldn't question anything about the Earth anyways. They just report to work and do what they're told in their specific department, and that's that. Everything's operated and organized by the higher levels of NASA. And that goes for the cooperation with the other space agencies, because everything with all of these different societies and countries is all operated by a small group of board members, and everything would be organized through the meeting of the minds with the top of the members from each space agency. And so overall, it would be a very few amount of people that would even know what's going on with the truth about the flat Earth and how outer space does not exist. The lower level members don't even question what's going on because they're fully indoctrinated. And now the question of this video is, why would they do that? Why would they go through that trouble to make sure that nobody else could find this edge of the world? Well, there's several reasons why they would do that. It's because, for one, science has been going in on the solar system model for at least 500 years now. The whole entire science community would be discredited if we found out that they were wrong this whole time. If the world was to find out that science was wrong about the Earth and the solar system the whole time, that would take a lot of guts for them to actually admit that. You know, hey, we've been wrong this whole time. This world is nothing like we have been telling you in your textbooks for the last 500 years. You see, that's why science is such a close-knit community where everything has to be agreed on and published by certain people. It's not like you can just go in there and start publishing things. The science community has to publish it for you so that they can be involved. Anything they don't like, they're going to dismiss because it doesn't fit with the overall agenda of the science community. And so we must ask ourselves, why was the solar system model pushed in the first place? Well, it seems to be an overall bigger plan that they have for mankind. You see, me and you might plan things for like the future as far as the next 5 or 10 years, but these secret societies that exist in this world are actually planning for things centuries in advance. They have agendas that are not even to be realized in their lifetimes as they're planning them. So these are underhanded plans that I believe are influenced by a power that is very Luciferian. These plans involve certain things like alien agendas and control structures. You see, with the whole solar system heliocentric model, it puts you in the middle of nowhere in a vast universe where the chances of other life existing is pretty probable, because with all of these other planets and each star being a sun, the chances are there's life on some of these other planets as well. So that's a subconscious introduction to alien life into your minds, and it sets up the stage for future alien invasion. But I believe that the creatures that everybody's looking for are already here on Earth. I've done research to suggest that there's entities on this Earth right now, and there's a plan that they might possibly be revealed in the future, but they want to present themselves as alien beings. And so with a flat earth dome firmament model, everybody would know these are not alien beings. These are actually fallen angels or demons, as some might call them. Another reason why they might hide this flat earth is because, like I said, the power and the control. If the world was to find out that we're contained in a dome firmament structure, that would be proof of a creator. You see, you can't have a flat earth dome firmament structure without something that created it. And there's no way that mankind created this flat earth dome firmament structure. This structure was created by something else, something greater than mankind. And so most people are leaning towards this something else that created this structure being what we would consider God. Others might not want to go that route. Others might want to resist that there is a God that created this place, so they might want to lean towards some type of other civilization that created this. But whatever the case is, we know that it didn't just create itself. And so the governments of the world would have less power because everybody would know that you guys aren't the biggest guy in the room anymore. And so basically, I believe that the majority of people would consider whoever created this place to be God. And so that knowledge would create a new wave of religion where everybody would start to understand that there is a creator, which is pretty much against science because they want you to think that you just ended up being alive on your own from some type of explosion of nothingness, and everybody was once rocks that eventually ended up becoming life and human beings. They want you to think we did this all on our own, and the entire earth and everything in it all just kind of happened on its own without any assistance whatsoever. Just happened to work out perfectly where there's water and trees for oxygen, and the beauty of life and the beauty of earth all just happened all on its own as a magical thing that is actually just one big accident. And they actually teach it in schools, even though most of their teachings are actually admitted to be theories, like the theory of evolution, the Big Bang Theory. All of that is theory, but yet they want you to believe it is true, and they teach you in schools that it's true. And most people just assume that it's true just because it was taught to them in a school, and the scientist community backed it. But thankfully, it turns out that most people aren't that easily fooled, because it looks like, according to my research, it turns out that most people actually reject the whole Big Bang Theory. It looks like way less than half of the people actually believe in atheism and the accidental Big Bang Theory. And so if it was revealed to the world that we live in a flat earth dome firmament structure, instantly everybody would be forced to face their creator and understand that this earth is not what we were told by science this whole time. It's actually a place that was designed for human life, a place that was designed by a creator. And that's a big thing that they don't want you to know, because if the world was to finally realize that we're living in a flat earth dome firmament structure, how would you feel about being lied to your whole life? Well, multiply that by 7 billion people. And so that would be a whole lot of upset people all at the same time if everyone realizes that they've been lied to about where they lived their whole life. And so, of course, they're going to do everything in their power to make sure that never happens. And so that's why you see increased space news. And even though they can't make it through the Van Allen radiation belts, they're going to go to Mars. And the thing is, as long as they're saying that they're going to go to Mars, that seems to be good enough, because who knows if they're actually going to attempt to fake another space mission like they did the moon landing. And I look forward to doing that video coming out soon. But there's always been all these holes in the moon landing hypothesis. So many people have long thought that the moon landing was faked way before the flat earth became public knowledge again. And so it seems to me that the scientists know that it is very difficult to pull off faking landing on a planet. Can't land on a planet. Planets don't exist. They're lights in the sky. They're not the solid objects that NASA shows you. And so everything science has taught you about outer space has been a lie. All these planets are based on pagan entities. They're worshiping these lights in the sky, and they're lying to you, saying that you can land on them, when in reality that can never happen. And so in conclusion, there seems to be a battle going on, and that battle is between the forces of good and the forces of evil. And your very soul might be at stake, because according to Christianity, and if you don't accept the salvation that was presented to you through the Messiah, that could actually affect where you go after you die. So if everybody found out that this place was created, more people would have a chance to make a proper decision about whether they want to believe in the salvation of the Messiah, or if they want to continue rejecting that he even existed. So that could be one of the most major reasons why they're hiding the flat earth from you, along with the other reasons that we discussed in this video. And so leave a comment and let me know any reasons why you think that they might be hiding the flat earth that I might not have covered. Otherwise, maybe just leave a comment and let me know what you think about this video. Maybe list some of your top reasons why they might be hiding flat earth. Leave a tip for as little as $1 on my Patreon page, and I'll send you some information about some unreleased videos I have on the way. Pick up a flat earth t-shirt. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This has been another episode of Feed Your Mind, signing off.